No, this
You
one
know,
hasn't.
everyone is typically out at this time of the year, but really appreciate you guys at such short notice. And what we have today is, we have some videos that Sheila has put together that actually talk about,
The nine emotions.
yeah, she explained it better, and we probably play the video at the end. We just go straight into Sheila's discussion on the book, and yeah, we'll play the video at the end. So what I'd like to do is introduce Sheila. She's my younger sister, and she's the one who's the creative, part of our family. I didn't get any of the creativity and the patience that she has. So right, from when she was a kid, she would be, having imaginary teaching classes where she'd be actually teaching to kids, and then even in high school, she was the one in acting in plays, and in front of, and she has, I do not have the experience to speak in front of a wide audience, and she's got a lot of confidence in just, because of the experience that she's had. She also ran a school called Creativity Unlimited, so she had this program for kids where, they would go to school, but then they would come, to her classes, and then she teaches them creativity. So she's, written quite a few books. I'll let her introduce herself. But once again, thank you for coming.
Yes, as you said, Sheila Kunjur Srinivas, that's my name. I'm going to speak slowly because I tend to speak really fast, so I'm just going to be nice to you all and go slow. Kunjur is the family name. Jaydev and I share it, okay, and that's the background. Yes, Creativity Unlimited, it's on my mobile phone too, was a very important concept for me because I felt it was very important to promote it in children, and my background is a master's in child psychology and education, and so that's where the Center Creativity Unlimited Center for Learning for 25 years, where I was training students how to be creative in their writing, in their public speaking, in their communication skills, in their thoughts, in their art, in their mathematical ideas. It was a program created by me. It didn't come from any textbook, because in India a lot of attention is given to maths and science and school work and not to creative thinking. So it isn't, they don't understand the importance in those years back. Now it's of course it's changed, school scenarios have improved a lot. So that's where I came in. Yes, and I used to love to write. Many of my students have become actually authors and still remember me, and they've got children now. So I'm quite an old lady. They have children too. And they're in the media, and they get back to me saying they learned and they were happy with so many things they learned. So that's a little bit of a background. Along the way, I felt I had to contribute to back into society. So we started a trust in my father's name, and we also helped a lot of government school children in India. Government school children, lack opportunities unlike the rest of the world, and so English is their dream actually. So they know that if they master English, they'll be able to do well in, at least inside their cities and things. So we started by donating library books, because I always want children to love books. I find it's very important that they start reading and learn to love the world basically through books. And then when I realized that they don't have any sense of grammar, I started teaching grammar. So it kept getting wider and wider, kind of help they needed, so that they would appreciate books. So because fiction is very important for me, for children, I feel, for their development of their brain. And again, that is something I promote heavily when I'm in India. So yes, and we give library books, we do a lot of work. That's the social part of my life. So yes, I did a few self-published books. I've written it in the back of my book. One is about vowels. I played around with vowels, an entire book, and I gave it free. We printed it and gave it free to government school children, where they can learn. Within a week, they started picking up reading as soon as they started using that book. Unfortunately, I didn't get a copy. It's at home, but it is free. We distribute it free to whichever school, government school wants it. And then we had a fun book which was recipes. It started a long time back when my mother was alive. She was the inspiration. I am going to be mentioning my mother once or twice in this entire episode, how she has influenced. And we wrote a beautiful recipe book, and we were all the family members. We wrote the recipe in form of stories, my sister and I. She gave me the recipes, and we made one page as a story about a family member and how they loved that particular thing. And so it was a story, so it made it easy. It wasn't like a recipe born and tested. It was a fun recipe book. And along the way, I shared all my manuscripts and things. I was continuing training students. And then I joined an authors group, of very talented, people who we started doing workshops together, and we started writing prompts, and we started getting how we should put it across. And my manuscripts are pulled out. That's why I've written that in the introduction, that it took 10 years in the making. Not that it took 10 years to write, it was there. The manuscript is inspired by our writers and authors group. So we started by 24 of us writing the first book called Relationship Ragas. Relationship raga. Raga, if you are familiar with the Indian word raga, it means musical, music and musical notes and musical tunes. So it is about relationships, and it was, I wrote one story in that. We contributed and we printed it, and then we did now two relationship ragas in ink is coming out within the next few months. 25 authors collaborated with that. So that was the writing. Now, in India, to give you a background, we call it traditional publishing. To get, first of all, to get a literary agent to accept your manuscript is almost, there's no chances unless it's something, something fantastic or something worthwhile. So it took me a year or two to get a literary agent who said, I got 15 minutes to tell me what your story is about. So that was my entire writing career depending on him. And he said fine. And then it took about 2 years. And we fine-tuned and edited and kept on doing it. And then 4 publishers came to me, and they said I was allowed to choose which one I liked. I chose this Red Grab Books, not because it's some hugely famous, but because there was no clauses, there was no hidden clauses. They were just interested in publishing my book, and without any clauses to it. I didn't want any additional clauses, that I had to do anything for them. So that's the reason I took. There were Loxley Hall and other publications. I chose this guy because I liked that's the legal paper that I signed. So that's the background. Yes, so that's about me, and that's the way we went into the book. What I thought was, I'd like to just read the introduction of my book so that you'll understand what is this all about, because that's when I've written very clearly.
Hey, Sheila,
yes.
one request. Can I just distribute your book so people can flip through that?
So the good thing is, Jaydev wants to give to the book club a copy of the book as a gift.
Yeah, and if your husband wife is just one book. For now you can keep it. For now you can keep it. Yeah. You can keep this for now. No, you can give it back later. But no, Julie. For now you can keep it. When you leave, just take one to the house.
While he's passing out the books, I have a question.
Sure.
I started in college a long story. It was supposed to be a short story, and I have not gotten around to finishing it 45 years later. So how do you motivate yourself to, you sit down and write every day?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, my second manuscript is already ready for young adults and adults. That's another 10 years. Every day, I sit down and write every day. The last 3 to 4 years, I write every day.
How much time do
The
you spend
reason is editing. I edit actually every day. Whatever I've written doesn't sound right, and then it's done again, and it's done again, and it's done again, and then it's done again. So writing is like a job. It's like a job. It's not something. Many people write. Many people want their books to be published. Many people in India. I'm part of the literary agent has got 1,000, 2,000 people waiting in queue for their books for a publisher to look at it. And when sometimes I see their books which is not edited really well because I didn't want to really spend that effort. You can see why it's nobody's really going to read it after a week. It just fades off because that idea was there, but the perfection is required as any professional That's the hard part. That's why I said, thousands, millions actually. I mean, right, especially in India. But I think we're about 20 of us actually who actually said, guess what, my book is ready. I think he's got 1,000, 2,000 people. I think every 15 minutes he talks with people, he's so busy. So that's how tough it is. The dream is there in all of us, but to get it published is a very hard road. Because I was just telling them, I'll publish, actually launching it in India on September 6th. And then I have a lot of work. I have to go to different cities, I have to go to, signing in bookstores. There's a lot of, we do a marketing commitment that we will spend that time. So we get it. So
I have a question about AI, but I'll save it till we get there.
No, it's a creative process. I get up at sometimes at 4 in the morning, and I don't find that I've got up too early. I just sit right through till 7:30. So it's a creative process. When the idea comes, the idea comes. You see, and you have to note it down. And sometimes what idea doesn't sound so good. And then you redo it. For example, in a small 2 sentences on the second manuscript, it was 10 years. It was about the world, and my literary agent said, "No, you're not got India into it." And I resisted, and it turned out to be one of it's also turned out really well. Once I put in the Indian element in it, it changed. That's how I never dreamt an international book that I was writing is going to turn how India had sprinkled into it, but I managed to because of the the way the direction of thoughts went and the information I started gathering. So yes, anything about what I said, you're welcome. If you find that I'm speaking too fast, you can stop me. And one more thing I do want to tell you, I won't be doing author speak. That is, I won't be speaking high language of an author. I'm going to speak as a creative person. I'm a creative person. We are authors, but I don't speak in that. I don't think in that level. I think more creativity. So my answers will most probably be something in that context. Right?
One more feedback. I won't say who gave me this feedback, but the words or the names that you're using in the book are a bit complicated.
Yeah,
so for Americans, right?
Yes.
So
we
you might have to explain the context.
We had an explanation about that. We had an authors group discussion about do we have to give translations to our Indian words, and they said, I think we can stop doing that. We can stop being apologetic, and you have Google. You can look it up. So this has been a controversy that you give a glossary at the end and explain. And as a group of authors, we decided that let's keep our words. One or two I have because you wouldn't know what it means. But yeah,
the issue was more with the names. When I read a story, George met Mary. I know George as a guy and I know Mary as a woman. Yeah. But in your book, there were so many instances where I had to go back and reread. Wait, was that the guy or was that the gal? And then there was a lesbian thing in there. And wait, they're both women.
Yeah, she's giving a story.
Well, yeah.
No, I like the answer.
I saw the movie.
Brad knows a guy who knows a guy.
I have got an offer to convert the book into a series. I said, just wait. Let me just get the whole thing done. And that's the next step is we get invited to. I already got a couple of calls asking me, but I've kept it. The publisher is ready for that. Make these into a series or a movie. But I said, let me just wait. So yes, this book, it's confusing sometimes, deliberately. Okay. And sometimes it's very simplistic, right? You wonder if it's the same person who's written it, because I like to do different genres. I like to put in one thing. I like to put magical realism. I like to put almost autobiographical, except I haven't used our names. And so those who are known to me, like Nina and I guessed some things, okay? And sometimes it is, something I heard from some, over the generations, So it has everything. It has about, ghosts. It has about divinity, what is real and what is unreal. You are puzzled I don't plan to reveal because sometimes I don't want to give away the plot. But real and unreal actually are two sides of the coin. Some things you all must have experienced in your lives too, which seems so unreal to others, is real. So magical, in every way in terms of the spiritual, etc. So since he already gave me the book, I had planned on reading this out, introduction. So what is this book about? So before I do that, we have a word, it's Sanskrit in it's called the Navarasa. So Nava means 9 and Rasa means emotions. So this is a very important name in drama, in dance especially, Indian dance. So the 9 emotions, main emotions that we go through as human beings. So actually I made a small, on each emotion I planned a 1 minute video. We'll show it takes about 9 minutes because that's what I'm going to be using for my promo. So love, okay, just give me one of the 9 emotions that comes to, any emotion that comes to your mind and I'll tell you.
Anger.
And he's talking about he knows that. Okay, anger. And I've used sadness. I've used Sanskrit, Hindi. I've used being little, creative about. Sometimes I've used the common name. Sometimes I've just given myself a license, creative license. So yes,
Happiness,
happiness. Happiness is not a happiness is a state of being. They say. So it's not. It's actually it's love. It comes under love, happiness, love, affection. Shringara. Shringara actually has a multiple meaning. Shringara means you dress up to look beautiful and happy, or you're dressed happily, or you are happy, you're dressed to be happy. So there's a lot of context to the first one, which is Shringara, love. And I'll go through this one. The second, the important emotion is sadness, we feel. Okay? So that is sadness, I've given you the Sanskrit word too. And then the third very important is obviously wonder. So wonder, and I've treated this in a very broad way. I haven't literally written some theatricals or anything. I've used wonder more as an experience that people go through. The story will, you will start to see where has she got this idea of wonder, and then you come to the end of the story and you understand the different things, facets of life. And then we have anger, rage. Anger is different from rage against society, rage against, if you come from India, the bias against the girl child. I've dwelt a lot on it because it's a very important topic for me about the girl child. And the biases, rituals, and even on God, they have, misinterpreted. So I made it easy stories where you get a background of, a lot of it is India. I wanted, it's Indian based, India, how they think. So you'll get an idea when you read that. And then there is also the sadness is done, and we have this disgust. So now I have treated disgust in different ways in terms of corruption, in terms of familial relationships, in terms of the Indian girl, how she is often forced into marriage. I've done it in a very light-hearted way. I've not been very preachy about it. I've just told true stories, and many of them have been recounted to me. And of course, I've also talked about ghosts and family deities, and many stories are true. Many stories are true from what have come in this. As I said, what sounds unreal is most probably real, most of it. And then of course comes valor, which is heroism. Again, I've taken slightly woman-based heroic stories. A lot of it from my mind, a lot of it I've seen, but I've done valor. And of course, of nation also. I've interspersed, not poetry, I've interspersed it in a different form of writing, so that it sounds a little easier. Because I didn't do, everything is in fiction in this book. It's kind of like a sense of blend. Yeah, and then calmness of mind, which is the final thing we all need to reach. And there I brought in a Buddhist story, and I brought in different. I even talked about the calmness of nature speaking to me, so to the protagonist also. So some of them I, me, sudden are there, a lot of I's and me's in the first person, and many of them are second, and many of them are third person, where you see it from a point of view. So that's it. So that's about it. Yes.
Which story is about Jaydev and Tina?
Yeah.
Question mark. Yes, big question mark.
So I don't have the book, so I'd like to just read about the introduction. Emotions are the vivid hues that paint our stories with depth and meaning in the mosaic of our lives. They play a significant role in how our stories unfold. Nothing happens in a vacuum. This book, which took 10 years to evolve, is a tribute to the role of emotions in shaping our experiences. I started writing my tales and poems as ideas occurred to me, either through memories, my own and others, or from a spark that ran through my dreams. Few were inspired by the prompts given to us as part of the Writers' Collective. Navarasa, the 9 emotions, have always fascinated me, namely love, wonder, sadness and pity, disgust, humor, fear, heroism, anger, and calmness of mind. Our ability to express emotions through our feelings, facial expressions, and behavior is uniquely human. For many years, I have dreamt of writing stories based on the 9 emotions in Indian dance and drama. When I considered how to combine so many topics under one heading, I realized that each story naturally gravitated towards a dominant emotion, becoming its guiding thread. It was a joyous aha moment when I achieved my dream of synchronizing each story with a relevant emotion or rasa. These stories don't follow a strict pattern. Some delve into life's big questions, while others offer escapism through fiction. You'll find a mix of philosophy, personal anecdotes, and even a touch of magic in my narratives. I weave threads of fantasy into the depiction of everyday life. My protagonists are ordinary people whose lives get entwined with the extraordinary. Through their experiences, I aim to explore the nature of reality and help readers gain insight into society and human behavior. As you flip through the pages, I hope you enjoy reading these stories as much as I enjoyed writing them. May they resonate with your feelings and thoughts, offering insights that stay with you long after you've finished your last page. Welcome to the world of One More Than 8. The title carries multiple meanings within this book. Meena asked me that question, so I said, Gina, why did you give this title? So I said, actually, I'll reveal the answer to you when I read it out. First, it signifies the Navarasa, because 1 more than 8 obviously is 9, so that's 9 emotions. And the stories, and 9 emotions. Second, it is the title of the opening story, 1 more than 8. And finally, 1 represents the supreme consciousness, while 8, if you notice, the symbol of 8 is infinity and endless, without a beginning or an end. Both are concepts close to my heart. So, yes, did I think 1 more than 8? No, actually. Did I think it was infinity? Actually, no. Did I realize that number 9 was so important? No. Actually, as I researched, my second book, every book of mine is going to have something to do with 9, is what I decided somewhere after. The next one has got around the world in 9, there's 7 continents. Where did I get those 2 extra? Buy my second book. Around the world and beyond, 9. So I have written 9 is very significant in it's the final number, and if 9 months we are pregnant before the baby is born, and everything. There's a lot of things around 9. We are in the Mahabharata. It's 108 chapters. The Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita has 18 chapters. If you look at it, you can twist the number this side. It's very significant. And so 108 chapters, everything is 108, or I discovered it as I wrote. The title just came to my head. It came to my head as 1 more than 8. And then I started thinking about it, and it started making sense to me, because I study a lot of spirituality and the meaning of why are we on earth. So,
she likes the title Julie.
Now, because in fact my literary agent said, what do you mean it's the title of the special thing? It's just 1 more than 8, 9. I said, okay, you just read. And now this didn't come and I didn't write, okay, I'm going to talk about spirituality. The title came organically. It just came. I played around. My daughter asked me, because she knew I was playing around titles for almost, 10, it was a different title actually. It was real and unreal or something like that, and I realized it wasn't getting out the essence. And then this book, I titled came into my head.
It's very interesting that 9, because as I was reading it, I wasn't quite finished, and my wife, of German ancestry, said, "Have you finished reading the book?" And I said, 9.
She did warn me about you.
Just to latch on to the German ancestry, and Robert Bhaskar, you can correct me here, but Sanskrit is a traditional, ancient, it goes back 5,000 years. It's a language, that was used in India and is still used. But Sanskrit was fascinating to Max Muller, who was a German, and he spent decades, studying Sanskrit in India, and he's written, all kinds of translations. But he was a German and very influential in translating Sanskrit to English, and writing about some of the meanings of. It's a pretty complicated language. I never studied it. I don't know.
No.
They make some kids study it in school.
He's
It's like Latin.
husband is studying.
There's some connection to Latin.
No,
Okay.
it's a original. It's considered the original language of the world,
Right.
Sanskrit. Though
Right.
there is controversy, but there's a lot of books that have been found. But original Sanskrit, from Sanskrit came Latin, came the languages.
So that's what that's what in India they claim that.
But there is people who dispute that.
But it is like Latin. It's not used, in our daily lives, but it has that historical significance, and a lot of the words, that have evolved are based on that. But Max Muller is someone was a fascinating character, a German character. So.
Yeah, so I just gave a little bit, just to understand that the significance of 9, the number 9. So 9 is in mathematics also. If you multiply, it's there in multiplication. 9 is considered a cosmic, the 9 planets, and we have the Navarasa, the 9 gemstones, which are everything is besides spirituality. Maths is very significant. A lot of things connected to the number 9. It's a very significant number, because after that it's 0. So there are a lot of things with the number 9, symbolism of number 9 in different religions too. So 9 is a good number. It's got a lot of significance. Yes, is there anything before?
And our house ends with 1809.
Huh?
Our house number is a good number, 1809. And 18 is double of 9.
Yes.
We have a lovely
Dad
house.
said that. So we got the house.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, my father said that.
Yeah, your dad said that.
As soon as
It's
he
a
came
good
here, he saw
number.
the house number.
Yeah, it's a good number.
Yeah, same thing with my dad. My
But
car,
when he said right next to Brad, I don't know.
my
Hey, my God, and 18 plus 9 is 27, which is again
9.
9.
my dad, everything is 9
We're
9.
gonna put this when we.
My dad's car is 108, and everything 999. Sometimes everything is it should be 9. My dad is everything 9, and everything calculate 9 is good. So 9 is good. Everything is 9. He's calculate numerically for all his establishment, for his thing. Everything was very important. 9 was very important. And his 108, his car, Dodge car, I still remember.
So I was amazed at the end of the book that the butler did it, and
He's telling you the story again. It's India, we don't say butler. Luckily, this is not a British book.
I think you are trying to talk about comedy as well as 9 results.
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so any questions or? Should I? Yes.
Isn't laughter all that? Isn't laughter to a certain extent like another?
That's the comedy as well.
Yeah.
Say that again?
Yes, humor.
Asya.
Humor.
Humor is there.
Asya. Humor is there.
Asya. What's that?
Humor.
One of the emotion is humor.
Yeah, humor is there. Yeah, I think Mr. Dul was saying humor is also there. So I thought I'd read a few, pages
Yeah, go ahead.
from the book.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
2 pages.
Yeah.
So, as I said, yes, there are a lot of pages you can see about, depending on, but now he's giving you the book. So, I'll read this one.
Which page, Sheila?
Yeah, so you can turn to page, let's go to page 222. Again, the calmness of under calmness of mind. Om Mani Padma, Om Mani Padma. This is a Buddhist prayer. Okay? It's a prayer, they say, they keep chanting this in the last chapter. So I won't tell you the story, but I'll just read out. So a Buddhist monk comes, and this person is, he's in a coma, and the son is very upset. And so the Buddhist monk says, don't worry about life and death. So he sings a song. Now, a lot of these are actual songs and actual things I've taken and interpreted. I've taken the words and I made it into my own thing. As I said, creativity is also something when you create something new, and also you take something old and make it your own, and change it and give it a new flavor. So creativity is not only something that sparks. That's the first sentence I tell my students. That you can also take something old and make it your own, and make it new, change it around, look at it differently. So I have done that. This is from a prayer, but I made it my own. So all the junior monks folded their palms together in front of their chest and sang in unison. And I found out that they do this when a person is on his last stage, they do it. So you have never been born and will never die. Life and death occur constantly. Cells in our body are dying and new cells are created at the same time. Before we were conceived, we were there, in our mothers and fathers, but in another form. Before the point of conception, we existed, but in another dimension. We got transformed from one form to another. We never disappear. Birth cannot be separated from death. A cloud transforms into water. This falls onto the earth, feeding the fruit tree. The fruit tree blossoms, and the flower changes into a fruit. We eat the fruit, therefore, logically, the cloud is in the fruit. Eat the fruit, blessing the cloud that has now transformed into the fruit. No birth or death, only continuation. Look at the universe filled with stars, a manifestation of your incredible mind. Since immemorial times, you have been free. Birth and death are only glorious doors through which you pass, the sacred threshold of your journey. Birth and death play hide and seek. So smile at me. Let us say goodbye till we meet again. We meet today, we shall meet tomorrow. The song filled the air with sweet thoughts. Ashwa Ghosh's eyes flickered and opened. There was a collective gasp from his family. He looked around him and smiled at the head monk. I saw your face and woke up, he said, love shining from his eyes, etc. The beginning and the end you'll have to read by the words that are about it. So it was a small 3 to 4 line Buddhist prayer that I liked very much, and then I started writing. You asked me what was the process, how did I write, how do I rewrite? This was a quote that it was obviously Buddhism and Hinduism. We believe in that we are souls on a journey, long journey of many million years, and we keep coming back to learn lessons on this earth. So I didn't want it to be something, because my third book will be something on my spiritual thoughts and experiences, but I didn't want that. But I wanted people to see that point of view. As I said, it's a point of view. It's a fiction. You can choose it. You can accept it. It's not that it's not a tome. It's not a knowledgeable. It's not a book on encyclopedia. It's a point of view. Which I thought was good. And would you like me to read some more?
Sure.
More passages. Okay, my favorite book, favorite story, because that's something I'm planning to give away who it is the spirit book under Valor. It's called The Spirit of Amma. Amma in our language is mother. And we had, Jaydev, I and my sister, had a very highly influential mother, influenced us in many ways. She passed away in 2009, and Dad passed away in 2007. He was a bit of a Buddha, we call him, because he was one of the most noble persons we have ever known. And on his passing away, her strength became a little less, I think, that she, her need to. So it's all there, but I've given fictional names, which is trying to understand Deepas and Divas and Seemas and Indian names, because one thing was, in particular, that it has to be Indian-based books for the publishers in India. If you go through Penguin or Random, they would accept. But in India, they want to encourage. My literary agent is a young chap, very enterprising and very knowledgeable. He wants to encourage Indian authors with Indian ideas. So he does, as I said, my second book was actually an international book. It took me 1 year to convert it into where India came into the story, but it was international. So India is important, the words and things and thoughts. That was the reason the book was accepted, actually. So the Spirit of Amma, I'm not going to give away the story. It isn't actually. You may find it unreal, but actually most of it really happened. I just condensed it to make it few people. Otherwise, it would be too many people telling stories. But the truth was, her spirit after her death came to different people. People got dreams and came back and told me, she came in my dream and she told me to do this. So that's how that story I had to write. I had to go through it, and what I've written is about 25 to 30% of what the number of times some kind of thing has come, her presence has been felt. So she was a very brave lady, definitely. She was one of the bravest persons we ever known. So I thought I'll just tell you one story, one part of the story.
Which page?
This is page 174. 174, one part of the many miracles and things that happened. Now, one said, every year the village observes a cherished tradition.
So you say 174.
Page 174.
Third
Third paragraph.
Oh, okay.
Every year the village observes a cherished tradition that has been passed down through generations. During the day, prayers and pujas, puja means we pray, to the Hindu gods, are offered to the temple deity in a solemn ceremony. As night falls, the entire village comes together for a special gathering. The festival's high point is when the village head hypnotizes himself, Shalini informed me. So this is two sisters whose mother's story, they're related. Two fictional sisters. The sister's name is Shalini and Meena. So he goes into a frenzy. The local ghost enters his body. He then starts answering questions about events. The strange part is that he is unaware he is answering our questions. He remains in a trance. When he regains his senses, he doesn't remember what he has told us. There was a strong undercurrent of excitement in the gathering. The cicadas chirped, announcing the arrival of the night. Temple bells rang in the distance, announcing the last darshan. Darshan is, you go to see the god and then they close down. Darshan for the evening. I was skeptical about this business with the village head. Theatrics, that's what this is. Fireflies buzzed around my face. I watched as the village head shimmied and gesticulated, roaring out his answers. It was midnight. Yawning, I stretched my arms, struggling to keep awake. My eyes slowly drooped when the village head approached me, his whole body trembling. He spoke to me, hoarsely through a deep trance. I am Hari. Hari is an Indian name, Hari. I want the family to know that Lakshmi and I are well and not to worry about us. My sister looked at me wide-eyed. Strange. The village head did not know our father Hari or our mother Lakshmi. Meena, he wouldn't have known that they had passed on. So how did he communicate that news? The mystery remains unsolved to this day. So yes, this sounds unreal and fantastical, but it did happen. My aunt, as soon as my mother passed away, my aunt and uncle went to the village, and we have something where in the village, which is they get into a trance, and certain people they inherit that job. So it's like for generations that's there. It's in the villages in south of India, and they get into a trance, and they say that a small god gets into them, a minor god, not the major god, and they start answering your questions. Even they don't know who you are, they don't know your name, and they give you the answers, and they say it comes true. It's like a prophecy, personal prophecy or say. And he actually, within 10 days of my, or some 13th or 15th day after my mother passed away, which was a shock for us because it was within 2 years. We hadn't expected it, And he spoke my mother, and he spoke my mother's name, my father's name, and my father's brother who had also passed away. And said, they're all telling you they're fine. He doesn't know who we are. We have not visited ancestral village at all. I haven't gone for a long time. I don't know this ritual. But this was reported to me. When she came back, my aunt told me, you know what, this happened. My mother's name is Nirada. So she Nirada said, told to tell you. Because we were very, very broken down. I took many years to get over our sudden death. And it was very consoling. It was consoling to think that, I've heard all this, and it happened actually to me. That the message came back saying she wants you to know that she's fine, and so is well. So don't, feel so. Of course, that took many years too. So I was that story, Spirit of Amma, was something that's very dear to me. I hope all of you all believe that every incident actually happened. It's real, though it sounds unreal. Yes, a lot more chapters, but you all can read, a lot of pages, but you all can read the book. I think. Now I have marked it, but it's going to be since he's giving me all the book. Yes. Is there anything you all have to ask me?
I want to know if anyone's ever had them say they're not fine. Good one. They said your mother and all were fine. Has it ever happened when someone comes back and says they're not fine?
So I've done I've got the answer for that in my chapter on wonder. I've done 3 stories about, I've read deeply about past life regression, and I myself have gone into a past life regression and found out on a small note that I was in the 2 stories that came back to my under hypnosis, I was in Europe. Which could explain why I cannot eat chilies, I cannot eat spicy food, and I always love German food. By the way, and I used to speak gibberish German, I believe, when I was young. I wanted to speak German, and I would create that language my mom says and speak German, and so I dealt with that as a past life regression. Do read the stories, and I'm a big follower of Dolores Cannon. She also came into my life because I read a lot. I want to listen to spirituality a lot, and Dolores Cannon is an American who is very well. She's acknowledged by the government too. You just look it up. She's done it. She passed away in 2014. She looks like a typical American grandma who will give you cookies and everything. But she's brilliant. She's under hypnosis, thousands and thousands of people. It's a totally different subject. Where she and other people too, who has done seance and things, have actually solved murders. The person actually comes to them. I've read deeply about it, books on it, and past life regression. So one of my stories deals with the very question that you asked. Like, do we get answers as to why we are what we are? Past life regression has helped a lot of people understand that. And Dolores Cannon she's like a PhD on this topic. You just look her up. She's she's also had the people talk about aliens. She's had your U.S. government calls her from this. They have a lot of seats under secret. They don't want to terrify all of us, so it's kept under wraps. You all must be knowing that they don't like to talk about it, not to frighten the population. They're doing a lot of research. It's kept, and she's called to give more details or give information. She's recognized, she's passed away. And that was an inspiration for about aliens and Portuguese, and people have experienced everything. And yes, they've talked about their sorrow, their sadness. It's a different topic. We did another dinner. Your sadness of this life, or your injuries of this life, or your pain in this life, in Hinduism, and even she said, I didn't believe in anything, I didn't believe in any religious idea. When thousands and thousands started telling me that in their past life something had happened, it was such a shock, and they haven't recovered from it, or they die of bullet wounds, or they die of they've been murdered, something, or they fall into water, they have fear of water in this life, they can't understand it. The fear of heights, they can't understand it. It's often to do with past life unresolved experience, which goes into this life. Because as I said in my Buddhist prayer, we are on a journey which never ends. And we learn every time how to overcome our mistakes from this lifetime and the last. So that philosophy is there in my wonder. I've gone great detail about aliens and visiting and cosmic realities, and how we are being actually taught. If you want me to speak a bit of it, I will. How we are actually we speak about God and all, whichever religion we belong to, which directs us, talks to us, speaks, it's real. So we are getting directed subconsciously and unconsciously. And she says what she calls the subconscious mind is our connection to, we can call it whatever you want, the know-it-all, the noble, you can give it God, you can call it any name, she says. People call it different things, different names. Or myself, they say myself, I know myself. That myself is a connection which directs us intuitively to do, whatever we want to do. And as you said, sadness, which has no explanation, has something not only obviously this life, but it could be remnants of the. This is research. I'm not talking of fiction. Whatever Dr. Brian Lee, he's so many books he's written about past life regression, which explains sadness.
So I have a question then. You're very skilled at explaining this, and it's very informative. Where does predestination fit in? Because doesn't the Sikh religion believe that it's all written down? And so how much initiative does the person have to change that path if it's all predestined?
Yeah, so that's the same thing Hinduism has, that it's predestined, but it's free will. So you, in fact, you may have heard of something called the Akash, you may not have heard, it's called the Akashic Records. We believe that every thing we've done, what we are doing, we have done and are going to do, is our children's names and our grandchildren's name and the family lineage, who we're going to marry, is actually already predestined. But, for example, if you're going to die, they're not going to die, death cannot be controlled, but you're going to get some disease, you're going to have an accident on April 21st at 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. It's going to happen. That's predestined, but you can change your destiny by your free will. You can say that this is not the manifestation that I want to change this manifestation. I want a positive manifestation. We have the free will to accept that, oh my gosh, this is it and I'm going to die, or to say that I'm going to fight this to the best of my ability. And of course, as the book says, life and the birth and death have no meaning. It is just the constructs of the human mind. I mean, do you see the animals or any of the rest of the world bothering about it? They're not bothered.
So the desire of free will to change and the predestination issue, do you counsel people to accept the free will and to change things?
Yes.
Or do you counsel them to accept the destination that is preordained?
Yes. No. I say we can change our attitudes. There's nothing fixed, you see. We can change attitudes, which is not helping us. So we had my discussion in the afternoon about getting angry, and we said, we've all mellowed down because we've chosen to change our attitude towards the situations that create anger. So basically, the original self, which is you can call it whatever, if people are atheists and don't believe in that, but there's an original self of thing. We can go back to it, and intuitively we'll be told what. And this is not Sheila talking jargon. It's through the philosophy, entire philosophies of all religions, which says that when you're the purity, the divinity that's there in us, we go back to it. Yes, we can change even what has been written in our destiny. We can. And personally, I have changed, so many things which are supposed to be in my DNA, and it could be arthritis, it could be this, it could be that. I have, through sheer meditation, and have managed to bring a change to, in my own story. So my personal story. So yes, it works. You can change your destiny. We in India have something called horoscopes. But that horoscope is something, horoscopes it tells you you're born a particular minute, and this thing where the constellations are. But you can change that too. You can, by your free will, you can say, I'm not going to, you must have heard of miracles. How did that person get out of what was terminal illnesses? So many things, because of their free will saying that they want to get out. I've dealt with it, by the way. No other stories, interviews. It's my favorite topic.
So Sheila stated a 10-minute video. Can I just play that?
It's just a small, snippet of.
It
I would,
explains a little bit more.
Yeah, little bit. I want to tell you all. They just observe the colors used and just observe.